They thought banning me from the wedding was the ultimate punishment. They had no idea I was holding their entire dream day in the palm of my hand, the venue, the money, the honeymoon. And now, I'm about to show them exactly what happens when you treat someone like garbage for 15 years. Hey, if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, this story is for you. Hit subscribe if you believe everyone deserves respect, and sometimes justice has to take its own path. I promise by the end, you'll see that silence doesn't equal weakness. My name is Emma, and I'm 32 years old. I'm the oldest of 3 kids, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the one holding everything together. Not because I wanted to be, but because I had no choice. When I was 16, my dad died in a car accident. One moment he was driving home from work. The next moment, our whole world shattered. Mom, Patricia, fell apart completely. She couldn't work, couldn't function, could barely get out of bed most days. Someone had to step up. That someone was me. I had 2 younger siblings. Michael was 13 at the time, quiet and always trying to stay out of the way. And then there was Rachel, my baby sister, only 11 years old. Beautiful even then, with huge blue eyes and blonde hair that caught the light just right. Everyone always said she looked like a princess. I dropped out of the college I'd just gotten accepted to. Full ride scholarship to UC Berkeley. I threw it all away to work full-time at a marketing firm's entry-level position. $38,000 a year. I gave Mom $2,300 every single month. Rent, utilities, groceries, Rachel's dance classes because it's good for her development, Michael's hockey equipment because boys need sports. Me? I lived in a studio apartment in the cheapest part of town. I ate ramen 4 nights a week. I never went on vacation, never bought new clothes unless the old ones literally fell apart, never dated because I was too exhausted and broke to even think about it. 15 years. 15 years of this. And you know what's funny? Nobody ever said thank you. Not once. It was just expected. Emma will handle it. Emma always handles it. I worked my way up at that marketing firm. I'm good at my job, really good. I made senior account manager 3 years ago. I pull in $75,000 a year now. Still send Mom money every month, still the family ATM. Rachel? She went to college. Full 4 years at San Diego State, which I helped pay for. Graduated with a degree in communications and immediately got a cushy job at Brandon's father's real estate development company. Brandon. Her fiancé. Brandon is 30 years old, works as a finance analyst, comes from an upper-middle-class family that summers in Lake Tahoe and winters in Palm Springs. The kind of family that cares deeply about appearances, about image, about who's in their social circle. Rachel met Brandon 2 years ago at some charity gala she attended with her sorority sisters. He was immediately smitten. I mean, who wouldn't be? Rachel is gorgeous, and she's charming when she wants to be. She has this way of making people feel like they're the only person in the room. Everyone except me, apparently. After she started dating Brandon, things changed. She'd come over for family dinners and barely look at me. Once, I mentioned a campaign I'd just finished at work. A pretty big deal. We'd landed a major tech client, and Rachel literally yawned mid-sentence. "Marketing, right?" she said, examining her nails. "I thought you were doing something more. I don't know, impressive by now." Mom laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, Rachel, don't be mean." But she didn't tell her to apologize. 6 months ago, Brandon proposed. He flew Rachel up to Napa Valley, rented out this gorgeous hilltop restaurant, had a violinist playing her favorite song. He got down on one knee with a ring that probably cost more than my car. She said yes, obviously, and came home with this massive rock on her finger that she couldn't stop waving around. "Emma!" she'd squealed when she FaceTimed me from the resort. Look at it! Isn't it perfect?" "It's beautiful," I said, because it was. "Congratulations, Rach. Brandon's family wants to meet everyone next week. You'll come to dinner, right? Please tell me you'll wear something nice, not like work clothes." I wore my best dress, a simple black sheath I'd bought on sale at Nordstrom Rack 3 years ago. Brandon's parents, Linda and Robert, were polite but cool. They sized me up immediately, my off-brand handbag, my department store shoes, my hair that I'd cut myself to save money. Linda smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. So Emma, Rachel tells us you work in marketing? Yes, I'm a senior account manager at Davidson and Partners. How lovely, she said in a tone that meant the exact opposite. The engagement party was at a resort in Napa Valley. Budget, $15,000. Mom asked me to contribute $5,000, since your family and family helps out. I transferred the money without complaint, even though it wiped out most of my emergency savings. Then came the wedding planning. Rachel wanted everything: the dress from Vera Wang, the flowers from some exclusive florist who only took 5 weddings per year, the photographer who'd shot celebrities, and the venue. Oh, the venue. Emma, you have to see it, Rachel gushed, shoving her phone in my face. The Rosewood Estate. Isn't it stunning? It's this gorgeous property with rose gardens and a fountain and these massive oak trees. Brandon's parents are obsessed with it. I stared at the photo on her screen. I knew those gardens. I knew that fountain. I knew every inch of that property because I owned it. My Aunt Diane, Dad's older sister, had left it to me when she died 3 years ago. She never married, never had kids, and I was the one who visited her every week when she got sick. I'd sit by her bed, hold her hand, read her favorite books out loud. The rest of the family barely came by. In her will, she left me the estate. The lawyers handled everything quietly. I'd set up an LLC and hired a property management company to run it as a wedding venue. It brought in good money, around $120,000 a year in profit after expenses. I never told anyone in my family because, honestly, why would I? They never asked about my life. They never asked about anything except when I could send the next check. Rachel had booked the Rosewood Estate through my management company. She had no idea I owned it. It's $45,000 just for the venue, Rachel continued, but Brandon's parents are paying for that. Oh, and Emma, Mom and I were talking. Since we're covering the big stuff, maybe you could help with smaller things? Like, the bridesmaid dresses are $300 each, and I have 6 bridesmaids. And maybe you could chip in for the rehearsal dinner? That's only like $10,000. My jaw actually dropped. Rachel, I already gave you $5,000 for the engagement party. I know, and that was so sweet. But this is my wedding, Emma. Don't you want it to be perfect? I wanted to scream. Instead, I said, "Let me see what I can do." You're the best. She hugged me quickly, and I caught a whiff of her perfume. Chanel, probably $200 a bottle. I was wearing body spray from Target. The next few months were a blur of wedding planning chaos. Rachel called me at least 3 times a week with new demands. Could I pick up her dress from alterations? Could I drive her friend Sarah to the bridal shower? Could I order the party favors she'd found on Etsy? I did it all, like I always did. And then, 6 weeks before the wedding, my phone rang at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. I'd just gotten home from work, exhausted from a presentation that had run 2 hours over. I was heating up leftover Chinese food when I saw Mom's name on the screen. "Hey, Mom," I answered, wedging the phone between my ear and shoulder as I stirred noodles. "What's up?" "Emma." Her voice was cold, sharp, nothing like her usual tone. "We need to talk." I froze. "Is everything okay? Is someone hurt?" "No one's hurt, but your sister and I have been discussing something, and we've made a decision." "Okay." There was a pause. A long, horrible pause. "Emma, don't even think about showing up to the wedding." The noodles slipped from my hand. The fork clattered against the counter. "What?" "You heard me." "Don't come to the wedding. You'll ruin the photos. Rachel deserves better in her background." I couldn't breathe. The words didn't make sense. They couldn't be real. "Mom, I'm her sister. I'm your daughter. What are you—" "You know how important appearance is to Brandon's family. And you, Emma, you don't exactly fit with the aesthetic they're going for." The aesthetic? She said it like I was a piece of furniture that clashed with the drapes. Are you seriously telling me I can't come to my own sister's wedding because I'm not pretty enough? Not polished enough? Don't be dramatic. It's just one day. Rachel's day. Surely you can understand that this is about her, not you." My hands were shaking. 15 years. 15 years of sacrifice, of giving up everything, of putting their needs above my own, and this was what I got. Told I wasn't good enough to stand in the background of a photograph. "Does Rachel know you're calling me?" I asked quietly. "Of course she does. It was her idea, actually. She said you'd understand. You always understand." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A text from Rachel popped up on the screen. "Sorry, sis, but this is my day. You understand, right?" I stared at those words, at that stupid heart emoji, at the complete lack of awareness that she'd just destroyed me. Something inside me snapped, not loudly, not dramatically. It was quiet, calm, like a switch flipping off. "Okay," I said into the phone. My voice was steady now, empty. "I understand." "Oh, good!" Mom sounded relieved. "I knew you'd be reasonable about this. You're always so reasonable, Emma." "Have a beautiful wedding," I said. "Thank you, sweetie. We'll send you photos." I hung up without saying goodbye. For a long moment, I just stood there in my tiny kitchen with its peeling linoleum and the broken cabinet door I'd been meaning to fix for 6 months. I looked around at my life, at this small, sad apartment I'd been living in for a decade because I'd given all my money to people who couldn't even be bothered to include me in a family photo. Then I opened my laptop. The joint bank account I shared with Rachel, the one we'd opened when she turned 18 to make it easier to transfer money for school, was still active. I was the primary account holder, and sitting in that account was $25,000, Rachel's honeymoon fund. She'd asked me to hold it for her because she was scared she'd spend it on shoes before the wedding. I logged in, looked at that balance, $25,000. I transferred every penny to my personal account. Then I took a screenshot of the transaction and opened a text to Mom. "Since I'm not part of the family anymore, I assume you don't need my money either." I attached the screenshot and hit send. Then I shut my laptop, turned off my phone, and went to bed. For the first time in 15 years, I slept through the entire night without waking up once. My phone was on fire when I turned it on the next morning. 47 text messages, 12 missed calls, 3 voicemails. I made coffee first, scrambled some eggs, ate breakfast slowly while my phone buzzed itself across the counter like an angry hornet. Finally, I picked it up and scrolled through the messages. Mom. "Emma, call me right now." Mom. "What have you done?" Mom. "That money is Rachel's. You can't just take it." Rachel. "You can't do this to me." Rachel. "I'll sue you." Rachel. "You're ruining my life." Rachel. "How could you be so selfish?" Rachel. "Mom is crying because of you." Rachel. "Brandon's parents are going to think we're poor." I read every single message, felt absolutely nothing. Then I typed one reply and sent it to both of them. The account was in my name. Rachel asked me to hold the money. I'm no longer holding it. You told me I wasn't family enough to attend the wedding, so I'm no longer family enough to fund it either. Red receipts showed they both saw it immediately. My phone rang. "Mom." I let it go to voicemail. It rang again. Rachel. Voicemail. Again. 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 On the 6th call, I answered. "Yes?" "Emma!" Mom was hysterical, her voice shrill and breaking. "You can't do this. That's Rachel's honeymoon money. How is she supposed to—" "I guess she'll have to figure it out like I've figured out everything else for the past 15 years. "But Emma, she's your sister. Don't you love her?" I almost laughed. Did she love me when she uninvited me from her wedding? Did you love me when you told me I'd ruin the photos? We didn't mean it like that. We just— Brandon's family? I don't care about Brandon's family, Mom. I don't care about the wedding. I don't care about any of it anymore. You're being cruel. Now I did laugh. Actually laughed. I'm being cruel? I paid your rent for 10 years. I gave up college for this family. I worked 60-hour weeks so Rachel could take Pilates classes and Michael could play hockey. I gave up relationships, vacations, my entire 20s so you all could have what you wanted. And the first time I say no, I'm cruel? Silence on the other end. You made your choice, I continued. I'm not part of the wedding, so I'm not part of the funding. Simple as that. Emma, please. I hung up. The guilt tried to creep in. 15 years of conditioning told me I was being selfish, that family comes first, that I should just swallow my hurt and write the check and make everyone happy like I always did. But then I remembered Mom's voice on the phone. You'll ruin the photos. I remembered Rachel's text. Sorry, sis, but this is my day. The guilt evaporated. I went to work, had meetings, answered emails, pretended everything was normal. My phone kept buzzing. I turned off notifications. That evening, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Emma? The voice was female, older, polished. This is Linda, Brandon's mother. I hope you don't mind that Rachel gave me your number. Hi, Linda, I said carefully. I heard there's been some family drama regarding the wedding. I just wanted to reach out and make sure everything is all right. Family is so important, and I'd hate to think there are unresolved tensions. Translation: I heard you pulled the honeymoon money and I'm checking to see if there's going to be more embarrassment. Just a misunderstanding about boundaries, I said smoothly. Nothing to worry about. Oh, good, because we're all so looking forward to the wedding. The Rosewood Estate is absolutely stunning. Have you seen it? I smiled, even though she couldn't see me. Yes, it really is beautiful. Brandon tells me the property has such wonderful history. The owner must be very proud. I'm sure she is. We chatted for a few more minutes, surface-level pleasantries, before she hung up. I could tell she was fishing, trying to figure out if I was going to cause problems. She had no idea. 2 days later, I got a call from James, a photographer I'd worked with on several campaigns. He was one of the best in the Bay Area, and he also happened to be the photographer Rachel had booked. I need a favor, he said. What's up? I need you to be okay with me backing out of your sister's wedding. I sat up straighter. What? Why? Because you've sent me enough business over the years that I owe you, and Rachel called me yesterday screaming about you for 20 minutes. She actually said, and I quote, "My sister is a vindictive witch who's trying to ruin my life. I don't work for people who talk about their family like that." Warmth spread through my chest. James, you don't have to. I want to. Besides, she's been a nightmare client. Changes her mind every 5 minutes, wants me to Photoshop people thinner, asked if I could fix her cousin's acne. I was looking for a reason to drop her anyway. Won't you lose the deposit? Already planning to refund it. I'll tell her I have a family emergency. She'll have to find someone else with 6 weeks' notice. Good luck to her. After we hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Power, control, the smallest bit of justice. Was it petty? Maybe. Did I care? Not even a little bit. 3 days after that, James called Rachel with his family emergency. I heard about it from Michael, who'd started texting me privately. Michael: Rachel is losing her mind. Photographer bailed. Me: that's unfortunate. Michael: I know what you're doing. Me: I'm not doing anything, I'm just existing. Michael: for what it's worth? I don't blame you. Mom and Rachel have been awful to you. That text made me pause. Michael had always been neutral, always staying out of family drama. This was the first time he'd ever taken a side. Me: thank you for saying that. Michael: I should have said it years ago. I'm sorry I didn't. The wedding was now 5 weeks away. Rachel had to scramble to find a new photographer, and the only one available on short notice cost twice as much. $8,000 instead of $4,000. 1 week later, my florist contact, Marissa, who I'd connected with dozens of clients over the years, called Rachel. Hi, Rachel, I'm so sorry, but I'm reviewing our contract and I realized we made a serious error in the pricing quote. Rachel's voice went up 3 octaves. What kind of error? The flowers you selected include several seasonal varieties that are actually much more expensive than we initially quoted. With the drought this year, availability has been impacted. The new quote would be $12,000 instead of $6,000. $12,000? I can't afford that. I completely understand. If you'd like to change to different flowers. No! I want what I ordered. This is ridiculous. I'm very sorry. I can give you until Friday to decide. Rachel didn't have a choice. It was too late to find another florist with her specifications. She paid the $12,000. Michael texted me. Florist doubled the price. Rachel is freaking out. I didn't respond. Then came the caterer, another contact of mine. The email to Rachel was professional and apologetic. We need the final payment of $15,000 by this Friday, or per the contract terms, we'll have to release your date to our waiting list. Rachel had already blown through her budget. The photographer, the florist, the dress alterations she'd needed after stress eating for 2 weeks straight. She didn't have $15,000 in cash. Mom had to borrow money from Uncle Frank, Dad's younger brother, to cover it. Uncle Frank, who'd always liked me, called to ask what was going on. Your mother says it's an emergency for Rachel's wedding. Is everything okay? Everything's fine, I said. Just expensive. She mentioned you and Rachel had some kind of falling out? Something like that. There was a pause. Emma, I don't know what happened, but I want you to know I've always appreciated everything you did for your family after your dad died. You were just a kid and you stepped up. That took real character. My throat got tight. Thanks, Uncle Frank. Whatever's going on with this wedding, I hope they remember how lucky they are to have you. After we hung up, I sat in my car in the parking lot and cried for the first time since this whole thing started. Not sad tears, just release. The wedding was now 3 weeks away. Rachel's budget had ballooned from $120,000 to $145,000. She and Brandon were fighting constantly about money. I knew this because Michael kept me updated. Michael, Brandon asked Rachel why your family isn't contributing more. She told him you were supposed to help, but you're being vindictive. He asked what that meant. She told him about uninviting you. Me. And? Michael. He asked why they would do that. She said his parents wanted the wedding party to look cohesive. He said that was messed up. They fought for 2 hours. Me. Good. Michael. Brandon's parents found out too. Linda called Mom. Me. Oh? Michael. Apparently, Linda is very disappointed in how our family has treated you. She asked if it was true that you've been supporting Mom financially for years. Michael. Mom tried to downplay it. Linda didn't buy it. I smiled at my phone. Linda might be a snob, but apparently she had some sense of what was right and wrong. Everything was falling apart for them. The dream wedding was turning into a financial nightmare. Rachel was stressed. Brandon was confused. Mom was defensive. And Michael was quietly supporting me from the sidelines. And I still hadn't played my final card. Because they still didn't know I owned the Rosewood Estate. They still thought they were safe, that at least the venue was locked in, that at least one thing was going according to plan. 2 weeks before the wedding, I decided it was time. I had my property manager send an email to Rachel. Dear Ms. Thompson, we're reaching out regarding a potential scheduling matter with your venue reservation. The property owner needs to discuss something with you directly. She'll be calling you shortly. I waited exactly 1 hour. Let Rachel stew. Let her panic. Let her call Mom crying. Let them both spiral. Then I dialed Rachel's number from the venue's business line. She answered on the first ring. Hello, this is Rachel Thompson. Hi, Rachel, I said, my voice perfectly calm. This is Emma. I'm calling about your wedding venue. Silence. Then, Emma, what are you talking about? Why are you calling from the venue's number? Because I own the Rosewood Estate. I'm the property owner. Surprise! I could hear her breathing, short and fast. You... what? Aunt Diane left it to me when she died 3 years ago. You know Aunt Diane, the one you visited exactly once in the hospital? The one I sat with every week for 6 months while she was sick? But how... We booked it through a management company. My management company. I set up an LLC. You signed a contract with my business. You had no idea because none of you ever bothered to ask about my life. Emma, please. Do you know what's really funny, Rachel? You were so excited when you found this venue. You bragged about it to everyone. Brandon's parents loved it. You posted photos all over Instagram. And the whole time, it was mine. I watched you plan your dream wedding at my property while simultaneously uninviting me from it. I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry. Please don't do this. Do what? Cancel the wedding. That's why you're calling, right? To cancel? I let her suffer in silence for a moment. The wedding will happen. Oh, thank God. but you're going to do exactly what I say for the next 2 weeks. What? What do you mean? I'll email you a list. You'll follow every single item on it. If you don't, I invoke the 48-hour cancellation clause in your contract, which, by the way, you signed. You can't? I absolutely can. It's my venue, my property, my rules. You wanted this to be your day? Well, now it's my day too, and we're doing things my way. Rachel started crying. Real, ugly sobs. Please, Emma, please don't do this. It's my wedding. I'll lose everything. You should have thought of that before you told me I'd ruin the photos. I hung up. Then I composed an email with my list of demands. Public apology from Rachel in the family group chat. Mom admits, I was wrong to exclude Emma. Rachel will invite Emma to the wedding with a +1, seated at a VIP table. Wedding toast must acknowledge Emma's contributions to the family violation of any term results in immediate venue cancellation. I hit send and turned off my phone. This time, when I went to bed, I slept better than I had in 15 years. When I turned my phone back on the next morning, the family group chat had exploded. 63 messages. I scrolled through them slowly, sipping my coffee. Rachel had posted the apology at 2 a.m. I'm sorry for excluding Emma from the wedding. I was wrong to prioritize appearances over family. Emma has sacrificed more for this family than I ever acknowledged, and I should have been grateful instead of cruel. It wasn't heartfelt. You could practically see her gritting her teeth while typing it. But it was there, in writing, for everyone to see. Mom's message came an hour later. I was wrong to tell Emma she couldn't attend Rachel's wedding. I let outside pressure influence me, and I hurt my daughter. Emma, I'm sorry. Uncle Frank had responded, about damn time. Aunt Carol, Emma, honey, we had no idea. We love you. Cousin Jennifer, wait, Emma wasn't invited to the wedding? WTF? The family secret was out. Extended relatives were piling on now, asking questions, expressing shock and disappointment. Rachel and Mom were getting dragged in a group chat with 40 people in it. I took another sip of coffee, felt absolutely nothing. Michael texted privately, Mom and Rachel are freaking out. They want to know if the apology is enough. Me, tell them to read the list. All 5 items, not just item 1. Michael, you're really going through with this? Me, every single word. 3 days passed. The family group chat stayed active with relatives discussing the situation, most of them firmly on my side. Rachel stopped responding after her initial apology. Mom tried to defend herself a few times but got shut down by Uncle Frank and Aunt Carol. On day 4, a formal wedding invitation arrived at my apartment. Cream-colored cardstock, elegant calligraphy, the works. Inside, my name was listed with a +1 option. Reserved seating at table 2, the VIP table, right next to the head table where the bride and groom would sit. Rachel had followed through on item 3. I ran my finger over the embossed lettering. The Rosewood Estate, my property, my rules, now. That afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Emma? A male voice, tentative. This is Brandon. I sat up straighter. Hi, Brandon. I wanted to call and apologize. Personally. I didn't know the full story about what happened with you and Rachel. Or you and your family. If I had known... He paused. That's not an excuse. I should have asked more questions. I should have paid attention. I'm really sorry. His voice sounded genuine. Embarrassed, even. Thank you for saying that, I said carefully. Rachel told me everything last night, about how you've been supporting your mom financially for years, about how you gave up college, about all of it. And then I found out my parents had a conversation with Patricia about you, and they told me they'd always assumed you were part of the wedding party. When they found out you'd been uninvited... He exhaled sharply. My mom was furious. She's very big on family values. I gathered that from our phone call. Look, I know this is awkward, but I want you to know that Rachel and I talked for hours after the venue thing came out. I told her what she did was wrong, what her family did was wrong. She knows that now. Does she? Or is she just scared I'll cancel the wedding? Silence. Then, probably both if I'm being honest. But Emma, I think she's genuinely starting to understand how badly she messed up. This whole thing has been a wake-up call for her. Good. She needed one. Will you come to the wedding? Please? I'd really like you there. And not just because of the venue, because you're Rachel's sister, and you should be there. I closed my eyes. Brandon seemed like a decent guy who'd gotten caught in the middle of family dysfunction he didn't fully understand until it was too late. I'll be there, I said. With my +1, at the VIP table, just like the invitation says. Thank you. Really, thank you. After we hung up, I sat with my thoughts for a long time. Part of me wanted to stay angry, to keep twisting the knife. But another part of me, the part that was exhausted from 15 years of carrying everyone else's weight, just wanted this to be over. I wanted to show up, let them see that I was fine without them, and then walk away from this chapter of my life for good. A week before the wedding, I did something I hadn't done in years. I went shopping. Real shopping, not just grabbing clearance items at Target. I walked into Nordstrom with my credit card and a mission. I found a dress, gorgeous emerald green silk that hugged my curves in all the right places. Not white wouldn't upstage the bride, but stunning, elegant, expensive. $400, which would have made me sick to my stomach 6 months ago. Today, I handed over my card without hesitation. Then I went to the salon. Got my hair professionally cut and colored for the first time in 5 years. The stylist gave me long, soft layers and fixed the mess I'd made trying to trim it myself. Highlights, lowlights, a treatment that made it shine like I'd stepped out of a shampoo commercial. You look absolutely beautiful, the stylist said as she spun my chair around to face the mirror. I stared at my reflection. She was right. I did look beautiful. When was the last time I'd looked at myself and thought that? The night before the wedding, Michael called. Big family meeting at Mom's tomorrow morning. You coming? What time? 10. Mom wants everyone there before we head to the venue. I'll be there. I showed up at exactly 10 a.m. wearing jeans and a casual blazer. Professional. Put together. When I walked into Mom's living room, everyone was already seated. Mom and Rachel on the couch, Brandon in the armchair, Michael leaning against the wall. They all turned to stare at me. Emma, Mom said, standing up. She looked like she'd aged 10 years in the past month. Dark circles under her eyes, her hair grayer than I remembered. Thank you for coming. You asked me to be here, so I'm here. Rachel stood up too. She'd lost weight. Too much weight. Her collarbones jutted out sharply, and her engagement ring looked loose on her finger. Emma, Her voice cracked. I need to say this in person. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I crossed my arms and waited. I've been a terrible sister. For years, not just with the wedding. I took you for granted. I used you. I treated you like... She wiped her eyes. Like you were supposed to serve me, and you didn't deserve any of it. No, I didn't. I was jealous of you, she continued, and that surprised me. You were always so capable, so strong. You handled everything, and I guess I resented you for it, which doesn't make any sense, but it's true. And then when I met Brandon and his family, I wanted to seem perfect. I wanted to seem like I came from this perfect, put-together family, and you didn't fit that image because you reminded me of how much we struggled, how much you sacrificed so I wouldn't have to. She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. I'm ashamed of what I did. I'm ashamed of who I've been. You deserved so much better from me. Mom stepped forward. Emma, I failed you as a mother. When your father died, I fell apart, and I let you pick up all the pieces. You were 16 years old, and I made you an adult before you were ready. I stole your youth from you, and instead of thanking you, instead of recognizing what you gave up for us, I told you that you weren't good enough to stand next to your sister at her wedding. She covered her face with her hands. I will regret that phone call for the rest of my life. The room was silent, except for Rachel's quiet sobbing. Brandon spoke up. Emma, I just want to say that my family and I would be honored to have you at the wedding tomorrow. My mother specifically asked me to tell you that you're welcome at our house anytime. She wants to get to know you better. Michael pushed off from the wall. Em, I should have spoken up years ago. I watched you carry this family on your back, and I stayed quiet because it was easier. I was a coward. I'm sorry. I looked at each of them, these people who'd taken and taken and taken from me for 15 years, who'd made me feel small and invisible and worthless, and now they were sorry. Okay, I said simply. Rachel's head snapped up. Okay. Okay, I hear your apologies. I accept that you're sorry. That doesn't mean I forgive you. Not yet. Forgiveness takes time, and you've all got a lot to make up for, but I believe you're sorry. That's a start. What do we need to do? Mom asked desperately. To make this right? Tell us and we'll do it. You need to change. Actually change, not just apologize. Mom, you need to stop expecting me to be your safety net. Get a job, manage your own finances, stand on your own feet. Rachel, you need to build a relationship with me that isn't based on what I can do for you. Michael, you need to speak up when you see something wrong instead of staying neutral. I paused. And all of you need to understand that I'm not obligated to keep being the person I was. That version of Emma is done. This is who I am now. Take it or leave it. We'll take it, Rachel said immediately. However you want to be, whatever boundaries you need, we'll respect them. I promise. We'll see, I said. Tomorrow's a good place to start. I'll be at the wedding, with my +1. And you're all going to act like civilized human beings. Who's your +1? Rachel asked hesitantly. I smiled. You'll meet him tomorrow. That evening, I got ready for the wedding with more care than I'd put into anything in years. The green dress fit perfectly. My hair fell in soft waves down my back. I did my makeup, not too much, just enough to highlight my features. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. I looked confident, powerful, like someone who knew her worth. At 6 p.m., my doorbell rang. I opened it to find David Chen standing there in a perfectly tailored navy suit, holding a bouquet of white roses. Emma, he said, his eyes widening. You look absolutely stunning. David was 38, a tech entrepreneur I'd worked with 2 years ago when his startup needed marketing help. We'd stayed in touch casually, coffee every few months, the occasional email. I'd always thought he was attractive, but I'd never let myself pursue anything because I was too busy, too tired, too consumed with family obligations. When I'd posted a very vague story on Instagram about family drama, David had reached out immediately. If you need someone in your corner, I'm here. We'd gone on 3 dates in the past 2 weeks. Real dates, nice restaurants, long conversations, genuine laughter. He was kind, successful, emotionally intelligent. The kind of man I'd always wanted but never thought I deserved. You clean up pretty well yourself, I said, taking the roses. Ready to face the family? More than ready. We drove to the Rosewood Estate in David's Tesla. My estate. As we pulled up the long driveway lined with oak trees, I felt a surge of pride. This place was mine. I'd earned it, inherited it, built a business around it. And tonight, everyone would know. The parking lot was already full. String lights hung between the trees, glowing soft and golden in the twilight. The rose gardens were in full bloom, the fountain bubbling peacefully. It really was a beautiful venue. David offered me his arm and we walked toward the main building where the ceremony would take place. I saw extended family first. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't seen in months. They all did double takes when they saw me. Emma, oh my God, you look amazing! Cousin Jennifer rushed over to hug me. And who is this handsome man? Everyone, this is David Chen. David, this is my very large family. David was charming and gracious, shaking hands and making small talk while I watched the whispers spread. Emma showed up. She brought a date. He's gorgeous. She looks incredible. Uncle Frank pulled me aside. Emma, sweetheart, you're glowing. I'm glad you're here. Thanks, Uncle Frank. That venue money I loaned Patricia, she told me yesterday that you own this place. That true? It is. He laughed and shook his head. You're something else, kid. Your dad would be so proud of you. That almost broke me. Almost. But I held it together. The ceremony was starting. David and I found our seats at table 2, right in front. Mom was already seated at table 1 with some of Brandon's relatives. She stared at me, her eyes red and puffy. I gave her a small nod. She nodded back. Rachel looked beautiful coming down the aisle. The Vera Wang dress was stunning, her bouquet perfect, her smile radiant. When she passed my row, our eyes met. She mouthed, "Thank you." I gave her the smallest smile in return. The ceremony was traditional. Beautiful. When Brandon and Rachel exchanged vows, I felt genuinely happy for them. Maybe Rachel would grow from this experience. Maybe she'd become a better person. Or maybe not. Either way, it wasn't my problem anymore. The reception started with cocktail hour. I introduced David to more family members, and he fit in seamlessly. He was successful enough that Brandon's parents treated him with immediate respect. When Linda found out he was the CEO of a Series B startup, her entire demeanor changed. "Emma, darling!" She air-kissed my cheek. "You look absolutely stunning. And David, how wonderful to finally meet you." Brandon mentioned Emma was bringing someone special. We made small talk. Linda was much warmer to me now, and I understood why. I'd proven I wasn't the struggling, unsuccessful sister Rachel had painted me as. I had money, property, connections, and a successful partner. I fit their aesthetic after all. The irony wasn't lost on me. Dinner was served. Table 2 included Michael and his girlfriend, Uncle Frank and Aunt Carol, and 2 of Brandon's cousins. The conversation flowed easily. David's hand found mine under the table, and he squeezed gently. "You doing okay?" he whispered. "I'm perfect," I whispered back. Then came the toasts. The best man went first, telling funny stories about Brandon. The maid of honor gushed about Rachel. Standard wedding stuff. Then Mom stood up. The room went quiet. She was holding a microphone, her hands shaking slightly. "I want to take a moment," she began, her voice wavering, "to thank someone very special." Here it was. Item 4 on my list. My eldest daughter, Emma. She looked directly at me. "Emma has sacrificed more for this family than anyone knows. When her father died, she was just 16 years old, and she stepped up. She took care of us. She gave up her dreams, her future, her own happiness to make sure the rest of us were okay." People were turning to look at me now. I kept my expression neutral. "This beautiful venue where we're celebrating tonight?" Mom's voice broke. "It belongs to Emma. She graciously allowed us to have this day here. And Emma," she was crying now, "I'm so sorry it took me this long to see you, to really see you, to appreciate everything you've given us." She raised her glass. "To Emma, the strongest person I know, the daughter who saved us, even when we didn't deserve it." "To Emma," the room echoed. I lifted my glass and took a sip of champagne. David squeezed my hand again. Rachel was crying at the head table. Michael was watching me with this expression of profound respect. Brandon's parents were whispering to each other, looking at me with new understanding. The moment felt surreal. After 15 years of being invisible, suddenly everyone saw me. But here's the thing. I didn't need them to see me anymore. I'd already seen myself. The rest of the reception passed in a blur. I danced with David, laughed with cousins, even had a brief conversation with Rachel during a bathroom break. "Emma, I meant what I said this morning," she told me while we stood at the sinks, reapplying lipstick. "I want to do better. I want to be a real sister to you." "Then be one," I said simply. "Not today, not at your wedding, but after. When the excitement dies down and real life sets in, that's when I'll know if you mean it." She nodded, mascara smudging under her eyes. "I'll prove it to you, I swear." "We'll see." Psyched. David and I left at 10 p.m., early for a wedding, but I was done. I'd done what I came to do. I'd shown up, held my head high, received the acknowledgement I'd demanded, and proved that I was more than fine without them. As we drove away from the Rosewood Estate, David asked, "How do you feel?" I thought about it. "Free. I feel free." "What's next for you?" "Honestly, I'm selling the estate." He glanced at me in surprise. "Really?" "Yeah, too many complicated memories. I've already talked to a commercial real estate agent. The property's worth about $2.8 million. After the sale, I'm buying a place in San Diego. Ocean view. Fresh start. San Diego's nice, he said carefully. I have an office there, actually. I'm down there at least once a month. I smiled. Is that so? It is. Maybe when you buy that oceanfront condo, I could get a tour? You'll be the first person I call. 3 months passed quickly. The estate sold for exactly $2.8 million. I paid off the small mortgage I'd had on it, covered all the fees, and walked away with $2.6 million in profit. Combined with my savings and the money I'd stopped sending to Mom, I was in the best financial position of my entire life. I bought a 2-bedroom condo in La Jolla with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Pacific Ocean. I could hear waves crashing when I opened the balcony doors. Every morning, I made coffee and watched the sunrise over the water. I got promoted at work. Senior marketing director, managing a team of 8 people. $75,000 a year became $95,000 a year. I was good at my job, and finally, I was being compensated fairly for it. David and I were dating seriously now. He stayed at my place whenever he was in San Diego. We talked about the future in vague, hopeful terms. Nothing rushed, nothing forced. Just 2 people who genuinely enjoyed each other's company. Rachel texted me once a week. Small things at first. Memes, articles she thought I'd like. Photos of her honeymoon. I responded sometimes, ignored her other times. I was setting the pace now, not her. Mom called every Sunday. She'd gotten a part-time job as a receptionist at a dental office. She was managing her own bills now, slowly paying back Uncle Frank. She'd even started going to therapy, which shocked me. The therapist says I have codependency issues, she told me during one call. And that I parentified you when you were too young. She's right. I see that now. That's good, Mom. Recognition is the first step. Will you ever forgive me, Emma? I looked out at the ocean, watching seagulls dive for fish. I'm working on it. Give me time. I will. As much time as you need. Michael and I had dinner once a month. He'd become a real ally, someone I could actually talk to. He'd started standing up for himself at work, setting boundaries with Mom, building his own life instead of just floating through everyone else's. You inspired me, he told me over sushi one night. Watching you finally say no to everyone, watching you choose yourself. It made me realize I'd been doing the same thing, just going along with whatever was easiest. I don't want to live like that anymore. Good, I said. You deserve better. As for Brandon's family, Linda invited me to their annual 4th of July party. I went, mostly out of curiosity, and ended up having a surprisingly good time. Linda pulled me aside at one point. Emma, I want you to know that I misjudged you initially, she said. I made assumptions based on Rachel's description of your family situation. I'm sorry for that. It's okay, I said, and I meant it. Linda wasn't a bad person, just someone who'd believed a biased narrative. You're welcome at our home anytime. You're family now. I wasn't sure I wanted to be part of their family, but I appreciated the gesture. One Saturday afternoon, 6 months after the wedding, I was sitting on my balcony reading when my phone rang. Rachel. I considered not answering, but something made me pick up. Hey, I said. Hey, Em, are you busy? Not really. What's up? I'm in San Diego. Brandon has a work thing. I know this is last minute, but could we grab coffee? I promise I won't take up too much of your time. I hesitated. We'd been texting, but we hadn't seen each other face to face since the wedding. Okay, I said finally. There's a cafe called Better Buzz in La Jolla. Meet me there in an hour. She showed up exactly on time, which surprised me. Rachel had never been punctual in her life. She looked different, less polished, more natural. Minimal makeup, hair in a simple ponytail, jeans and a sweater instead of designer everything. We ordered our drinks and sat on the patio overlooking the street. Your place is nearby, right? Rachel asked. Michael showed me photos. It looks amazing. It's 2 blocks away. I'm happy for you, Em. Really happy. You deserve all of this. Thanks. We sat in awkward silence for a moment. Then Rachel took a deep breath. I've been in therapy, she said. Individual therapy and couples therapy with Brandon. The wedding stuff, the money stuff. It really messed us up for a while. We almost separated 2 months in. I raised my eyebrows. I didn't know that. I didn't tell anyone, not even Mom. But Brandon said he couldn't be married to someone who treated their family the way I treated you. He said it showed something fundamentally broken in my character. She wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. He was right. What did you do? I started therapy, and I've been doing the work. Real work, not just saying sorry and expecting everything to be fixed. I'm learning about my behavior patterns, about why I treated you the way I did. About entitlement and empathy and all this stuff I should have learned 20 years ago. That's good, Rachel. I'm glad you're doing that. I don't expect you to forgive me, or to want a relationship with me. I just wanted you to know that I'm trying to become someone who deserves to be your sister. She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. Even if it's too late. I studied her face. She looked sincere, humbled, more real than I'd ever seen her. It's not too late, I said slowly, but it's going to take time. A lot of time. And I need you to understand that our relationship will never be what it was. I'm not your caretaker anymore. I'm not your backup plan or your emergency fund. If we're going to be sisters, it has to be equal. I know, I understand, and I'm okay with that. I want that. Then we'll take it slow, coffee every few months, texts here and there. We'll see how it goes. She smiled, and for the first time in years, it looked genuine. Thank you, Emma, really. After she left, I walked back to my condo and stood on the balcony, watching the waves roll in. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. My phone buzzed. David. Dinner tonight? I'm cooking. Me. I'll bring wine. David. Perfect. Can't wait to see you. I smiled and set my phone down, closing my eyes and breathing in the salt air. People asked me sometimes if I regretted what I did. If I should have just forgiven them without the drama, without forcing them to face consequences. Here's what I learned. Forgiveness isn't the same as being a doormat. You can forgive someone and still protect yourself. You can love your family and still walk away when they hurt you. They taught me to be quiet, to sacrifice, to make myself smaller so they could shine brighter. I taught them that silence doesn't mean weakness. It means I'm choosing my battles carefully. And when I decide to fight, I win. I'm not bitter anymore. I'm not angry. I'm just free. And that freedom? It's worth more than any apology, any relationship, any family obligation. I spent 15 years being the person everyone needed me to be. Now I get to be myself. And honestly, that's the best revenge of all.